I started my day with a visitor. Drop off!
Wait.
In to get some cash out before we do our pickups. Should be a pretty good day. Not many pickups today, just a couple. With some op shops on the way, so also hoping we can pick up some goodies while we're there as well. Need a spot that I can drive all the way through. I don't even see any. Hello. Perfect. How's that looking for an angle? Not too bad. Needs to be a bit higher. Hopefully it doesn't shake too much while we're driving. We'll see. I've been so keen to get this day going because the last video that I did where I the day in the life video, covered a few things, talked about just topics while working. And the feedback I got was that do more of it, just talk while you're doing your day, and it flowed quite well. So Jenny actually watched the video, and Jenny is my harshest critic. Jenny, when she watches videos and she feels that it's just like, because she has a much shorter attention span than I do when it comes to social media. Like when I watch social media, I forget that I'm also trying to learn while watching, and so I will oftentimes persist through the cringy moments, persist through the mistakes to try and figure out what was the goal of the video and did the video achieve its goal. Whereas Jenny is just a consumer. So for her, when she watches the video, she's like, yeah, nah, I'm tuning out at this point and this point. Those of you guys who know YouTube, who know the back end of YouTube, it actually shows you when the views start to drop at which point in the video, and you can actually, it will pinpoint those moments, and it's really accurate. So Jenny, for me, it's like a live version of that, because I'll see that stat and I'll go, was it because of this or that? But when you have someone watching the video and their face changes and you can see that face, Jenny's face is like my litmus test. So when she watched the last one, the day in the life video, she thought, yeah, it goes really smoothly. You seem to be going from topic. I'm engaged, I'm listening, so do more of it. And okay. So all that to say, I woke up this morning pretty excited to get this video going, to piece it all together. I was like, what do I say? I'm pretty sure I talked about everything in the last video. But once again, that's not true, because that's just a feeling. And as I've settled into the day, some things have come up. So the first thing is, walking back to the car, I'm using my sister's hatch at the moment because she borrowed the truck to go on a camping trip. And when she called me yesterday, she said, where do you need the truck back like ASAP? Because I don't think I can get it back to you until the end of the week. And I was like, yeah, no problem. Just get back to me whenever when you get it back. And she's like, okay. Got me thinking. When I first bought the truck, I intended to buy all this stock. I intended to go and pick up pallets even. In fact, I bought the truck specifically because it could fit a Euro pallet. Sales have slowed down recently for everybody. And I'm not buying as aggressively anymore. And even then, I'm very conscious of how I'm spending my time, because back when sales were good, and we're talking COVID good, I would buy stock and I would just drive. I remember there was one day I drove like 2 hours off from Melbourne to Geelong, and then after that I drove from Geelong all the way up to Doreen, which is essentially a 2-hour drive from Geelong to Doreen, and then I drove down back to where I am. It took me a whole day to do it, 6 hours of driving in total, to kind of cover a triangle and fill up my whole truck with stock. Like, I don't have that luxury of time anymore, because I want to get more listings out. I want to increase the variety of stock in my stores, so that my buyers who are used to seeing a regularly replenished store continually engage with my store. And for the most part, it's worked out, because sales haven't dipped as much for me as I see with other people in my category. I'm definitely making more sales than my competitors. And those of you guys who watch my channel, you know that I save searches of my top 5 competitors, because if I notice that they are slowing down and I'm also slowing down, then it's a market thing. But if they are slowing down but I'm not slowing down, then there has to be something else that's influencing that, and that prompts me to look at how am I doing listing or pricing or whatever that's working, and it gives me a short-term reflection window. Anyways, putting more time in the business means less time sourcing in person, and yeah, so the fact that I didn't feel any pushback to need the truck, I definitely now source more online. I definitely send courier labels to people more to ship stuff to me, and it's as simple as asking. It's as simple as saying, hey, can I send you a courier label? If you have a box that fits the stuff, all I need is the dimensions of the box. And if you know what you sell, if you're the kind of person that sells in a niche category and you see a bulk lot of stuff, you already know in your head roughly what the weight's going to be. Most people I find most people have a tape measure but don't have a scale. And so if you ask them just for box dimensions and you're willing to go and approximate the weight with the courier, most couriers are not that fussy, and if you're really off, they'll just charge you afterwards. But hey, the point is to get the stock. You know, the point is to save time and not have to go and pick up the stock an hour, 2 hours away and try and fill up that route with other pickups, which then takes more time. So telling somebody, can I send you a courier label? What does that mean? It means that if you have a box that fits all the stuff, it doesn't even have to be. I'm happy for you to cut the box down if you want. If the box is too big, that's okay. It's fine. Stuff it with plastic bags, newspaper, whatever it is, and I'll get the courier driver to come pick it up. You'll be surprised how many people receive items from couriers but never actually use couriers to ship out. So when someone says pick up only, no deliveries, no post, what they're really saying is, I don't want to go out of my way to get this to you. You come to me. So driver will come to you. They'll push back initially and go, what do you mean? When you pack the stuff, I'll send you a label on A4 paper. You print it out, you put it on your box, you leave it by your door. When you come back that day, it'll be gone. If it's not gone, sometimes the drivers run out of time, in which case, just let me know by 5 o'clock if you don't see it, if it's still there, and then I'll get them to come the next day. 1 in 20 don't get picked up on the same day. That's been my experience anyways. Most of them get picked up same day. The person will be like, whoa, I can't believe it's that easy. I'm like, yeah. So now you've not only have you helped them to sell easier, they've now realized that there's this option that they can also use. And about 10% of those people who do the courier option then ask me, how do I do it? And then I get to show them. And so there's a bit of a value add there, and it's a very smooth experience. Value adding also is good because if you're buying stuff from somebody that is of interest to you, there's a good chance that you might buy from them again. You never know. Especially in the collector space, right? Not everyone liquidates their whole collection at one go. Some people will liquidate a portion because they need to buy something that they need or something else that the wife needs. I'm using that example because I'm the husband that has to liquidate stuff sometimes because my wife wants something. So adding value, making it smooth, helps them to remember you so that when you message them again in the future, there's a bit of an IOU kind of sitting in the background. But once again, we're trying to increase our chances of success, little bits added together to give us the best chance. That's really it, right? So yes, I'm sourcing a lot more with couriers, which means that I don't use my truck as much. Only occasionally when we happen to need to go somewhere far away to visit a friend or whatever, or if I happen to see a lot that's really sizable that I just can't ship, or I don't trust shipping. And usually it's things like bulk lots of action figures. You really, once they go over about 5 kilos, should not be shipped because if they're loose, just the weight, it flexes on the limbs, it flexes on the joints. Just go pick it up. So yeah, so I've realized that I'm spending more time on business. I'm using less time to go source in person and getting more stuff shipped to me. So if you're finding that time is of the essence, you're finding that you are, just torn. I think that's the best word, torn. You feel torn because you should be doing something, but you also want to do something else. A lot of us, when we get into reselling, we enjoy the buying part, not so much the listing and selling and fulfilling part. But that's the part that makes us the money. And it's very easy to feel good working on the sourcing and justifying that it's part of work, therefore I get to do it. Stop that. Be productive. You will feel the best when you make money. That's as simple as it gets. When the business is not doing well, when money isn't coming in, the best way to feel better about it is for money to come in. So maintain your balance of sourcing and listing and selling. Save that time by sourcing remotely. Here's a tip for sourcing remotely. Move the marker on Facebook Marketplace or Gumtree, wherever it is that you are, that you source, to a different location, and apply that send courier label suggestion. You'll realize it's not as scary. People are, if you can show someone how to make their life easier, they will generally listen to you. It's like, especially if they don't have to spend money. It's not fair to lump, moving clouds. It's not fair to lump the courier label suggestion with telemarketers. It's not the same. Like when someone calls you out of the blue and says, I want you to do a bunch of different things and you have to pay me for it, it's because I have to pay money for this thing that I never asked for. But if they're asking for money for something that they are selling and you're going, hey, I want to pay you for it, help me to pay for it, let me pay for it, I really want to pay you for it, then that's different. It's different. You're essentially saying to them, I want to give you what you want. You are asking for it. Different. Telemarketer, didn't ask for it, you're calling me now to give you something that I didn't ask for. Offering a solution so that I can give you what you asked for, different. So you're adding value there. Be brave, suggest it, and if they say, especially those ones that are like, they say no holds, no da 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 da. If they're stubborn about how they want to sell an item, time will wear them down. The number of times I've seen a listing has been up there for like 18 weeks. And Facebook, some listings they do, some listings they don't. But some listings, when they show you that it's been up for 18 weeks, they message them and say, hey, is it available? They're like, yes, it's still available. No shit, because you have been stubborn and not wanting to do anything to move this item except for put it on a platform. So at that point, if you suggest, hey, can I help you get it to me easier? With enough convincing, they'll probably say yes. I'm hungry. So Maccas.
Hi, what can I get for you?
Can I get a sausage and egg McMuffin meal, thanks?
The sausage and egg McMuffin meal. What drink can I get for you?
I'll get a medium flat white with an extra shot of coffee.
Medium flat white with an extra shot. Anything else?
Can I get a tomato slice in the muffin as well?
Sorry, what's that one?
A tomato slice?
The tomato, yeah. Is there anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Have them so we'd have them too.
I always say tomato before tomato. I forget that in Australia you guys say tomato. Why do I say tomato? I am so hungry. Right, that's what I was gonna say. I was so excited to start the day and just get going. Buy the tripods to load to stick to the car. Buy 4 packs of blue tack in case the tripods don't work. Clearly it's working, so hopefully it's not shaking too much. That I did not eat breakfast. And now I'm so hungry. But I forget about the hunger once I start talking to you guys. And then once there's a break in my thoughts, I'm like, I'm still hungry. I should go get food. Whew. Thank you. Also, imagine the content from this point on now that I've had coffee too. Alright. I'm going to park the car so that I can put some coordinates in to go for my pickup. And then we will talk some more. It's hot. It's hot. Okay. My hands are like literally shaking trying to open this muffin because I'm that hungry. Oh damn. Why did I do this to myself? Alright, let's go. This is good. This is touching so many spots. Oh. The other day, Jenny told me, you've got lunch in the fridge. We try and save some money by, eating leftovers or cooking at home more for dinner. Something everyone does. And then my mum gave us some food as well. And one of the things, anyways, I get to my lunch. I'm not sure if you guys do this, where you work to the point where you're really hungry, then only you stop. I do that. I've never been one for, it's lunchtime now, I stop everything, I go have lunch. I like to finish what I'm doing. And sometimes you want to push the issue to the point where, alright, I guess I should probably eat lunch, otherwise it's going to start looking like dinner. Anyways, so she tells me there's lunch in the fridge. I go get my lunch. I'm starving at this point. And then I eat it and I message her and I go, I ate my lunch, but I don't like the fact that you didn't tell me what it was for lunch. Because my mom made us drumettes. And I hate drumettes. To me, drumettes are a test of personality. The reward that you get for the effort eating drumettes. Like, I don't like chicken skin as it is, so having to peel off the skin on this tiny little piece of meat, and I get that drumettes taste nicer, the meat tastes nicer, it's a bit sweeter, but the fact that these little tiny pathetic looking drumsticks, that I have to put in all this effort to get a little bit of meat, but always snag a bit of that fat that I hate eating, pisses me off. I'm just telling you guys this because I dislike eating prawns with the shell on. I don't see the point of eating oysters because I don't get full from them. I don't see the point of eating crab unless it's a certain size. Nah, too much effort. Just too much effort. When I was going through Maccas and buying this, the thought that crossed my mind was how easy it is to buy Maccas for breakfast. It's not healthy, and it's like the only way to not buy Maccas is to be disciplined and healthy, or don't drive in the left lane. Essentially, you have to drive in the right lane, never drive through. It's so easy to go in there, buy the food, get out. And the thing that I like about Maccas as a business principle is how easy it is they make it for me to give them money. Their prices have, everyone will agree with this statement. Maccas is not worth the money you pay for it. For the price you pay for Maccas and the food you get in return, it's not the best value fast food by far. You pay the same amount of money, you get a bigger burger at Hungry Jack's. Hungry Jack's is probably the best at this point but Maccas breakfast is still the best out of the other options, I suppose, that you can just drive through, pay and go. But the coffee is good though. And it got me thinking about how as the Maccas prices have gone up every single year, sometimes after a few months, and we notice it, but we still buy it because it's easy for us to give money. And I think that's a bit of that relationship, that trade-off works with eBay as well. The number of times resellers fixate on how like $1 of shipping they're afraid that an additional $1 of shipping will make them lose a sale. Sure, in some categories, but if you make it easy for someone to buy your item, and by easy I don't mean eBay is easy to use. That's not what I mean. I mean clear photos so that buyers don't have to question if they're missing any detail. Easy such that you don't have overly complicated descriptions that make buyers feel like if they don't read, they'll miss out something and they could get screwed. Easy in that you choose numbers that are competitive and in line with market. So easy such that you have combined postage rules that maybe add, even if you add 50 cents to shipping for every additional item, it's not enough for a buyer to not buy your item if they want multiples of your items anyways. The point being is, if you make it easy for someone to buy your item and you make it easy for them to give you money, you will find that you are more likely to get the sale than someone cheaper who makes it harder to pay. I wanted to buy something, I go to a listing, there's 2 photos and I go, I feel like I need 4. And I have low confidence. I now have to put in effort to build my confidence to buy the item. The price could be cheaper, but then I have to request a total and wait for an invoice. I kind of want to buy my item. It's not even, and resellers make this mistake. They say, well, if I have to ship it to you, you have to wait for it anyways. That's not the point. I thought about doing something and I want to resolve that thought. I don't want to think about doing something and then have that thought lingering in my head until you get your shit together to send me an invoice and then I go, now it's resolved. I have now bought the item. I think about a phone tripod, right? Like, I want to buy a tripod. I go to Kmart. I walk in there. I pick up a tripod. If I go to Kmart and then they go, we have one in stock. Great. Oh, we'll send you an invoice for it later. That doesn't happen in real life. So why should I have to put up with that online? If you're the kind of person that has not figured out postage rules, I'll do a video on how postage rules work and how the integrations talk with each other. Consider making it easy for your buyers to buy from you. It is so important. When you make it easy, you'll be surprised how little price has to do with someone's willingness to pay. It's a factor, but it's one of the factors. It's not the factor. Once again, exceptions apply. There are categories where price is everything. And for the most part, it's because there are too many sellers, buyers are spoiled for choice. That is the general premise of why price becomes the thing, because too much competition, race to the bottom. But if you're selling in a niche category, if you have, if you're especially if you're a second-hand seller, you'll find that it's actually price isn't the biggest thing. And on the topic about how price isn't the biggest thing, the number of times sellers will say, how come this item sold but not my item, but this item was more expensive than my item? And then their first thought is, eBay's rigged, this person, yada 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 yada. Maybe it's because, like, Brad and Jazz had this thing where they sold like a box set of DVDs, I think a few months back, and someone said, I've got the same box set, how come their one sold? And I think theirs was a little bit more expensive, so I might be wrong. And the first thing they went with was, eBay must give them traffic because they are a bigger store, which could be a factor, or because they are on social media, someone bought from them because they trust them, also could be a factor. Or maybe it's because they make it easy for the buyer to buy, and when the buyer looks at their listing instead of the other listing that of the person who was complaining about it, they just felt more comfortable and smoother giving money to Brad and Jack. Apply the Maccas principle. If you make it easy for someone to give you money, you will get money. Whenever you find yourself stalling a buyer or placing a barrier or placing a wait time, a pause, when you think of someone who buys on eBay, they think to buy an item, they go search for the item, and then add it to their cart, pay, check out. If you can eliminate the wait time for the invoice, eliminate it, because within that context of, I think about it, I search for it, I buy it, I pay for it, adding that combined postage request total in there is very unnatural. We agree, it's very unnatural. The only justification is if you as a seller don't understand how postage rules work, and you're like, but I'm going to be out of pocket if the postage is wrong. That's not on the buyer. That's you not being skilled enough to not put that in there for the buyer to have to navigate. It takes away from the buyer experience. Acknowledge that. Once you acknowledge it and make changes and it goes smoothly, you'll be surprised how many sales keep coming in. Okay? Now, shipping, you can ship within your handling time, but even then, try and ship earlier. You don't want to be caught out by externalities that cause your parcels to arrive late. You want your buyers to get something earlier. You want to exceed their expectations. And buyers notice. Because if you think about this, they are buying stuff regularly. They understand that things take shorter, longer. They know that when you go buy stuff from, say, Temu, or you buy stuff from, Alibaba, you know it's going to take longer than if you buy stuff off eBay. That pause was for those people who buy on eBay and those sellers on eBay that for some reason think 5-day shipping time. Look, there are circumstances where it's relevant, but the point being is, buyers have an understanding of how long things take to arrive. Therefore, if you ship earlier and it arrives earlier, they will notice, and it'll be one more reason for them to get on their laptops, phones to leave you feedback. You will see that having that mindset leads to more sales, leads to you doing much better than your competition, and it leads to your listings and your store having a completely different feel from you will start to realize that your competition compared to you starts looking like amateur hour. I don't know how else to explain it. Just trust me on it. If you're a bigger seller and this is your mindset too, please comment below and yeah, just add to this conversation so that we can convince new sellers who are sometimes afraid to make changes because they don't want to lose dollars. I get it. We've all been there. I have been there before. I've been there where I took less photos, wrote lengthy descriptions, priced to save my behind, not priced to entice the buyer. I've been through all of that, and I've arrived here, and I'm making way more money now than at the start. So I'm gonna do a pickup, finish my muffin, do a pickup, and then see what else the day has in store. There are thrift stores on the way. I might pop it. We'll see. That one's done. On to the next one. Hi. You guys are an amazing bunch. Like the reseller community, those that want to help each other, those that want to grow together, learn, make improvements. Like you guys are great. It's such a wholesome community, and really when it comes down to it, I find that if you get into reselling with a mentality that you have to always guard yourself, there's wisdom in that. I will say that there's wisdom. There are some categories that are so small you have to guard. I get it. I do it for some really small parts of my business because I know that if I reveal it, it will get eaten up and I'll lose my share. I get that. But it doesn't preclude us from being helpful to others, to teach others how to sell, teach others how to run successful businesses, to give others the tools that we have learned to be able to grow in whatever category of choice that we want to sell in. So once we acknowledge that, we start to give and enjoy being given to, and it ends up being quite a collaborative community. That's been my experience. I have found reselling as an industry more sharing than finance, that we're from in banking where I came from. In finance, it almost felt like in order to get help, there must be a dollar figure ready to be given. Whereas in reselling, it's just share our knowledge. Let's all do it together, enjoy it together. There's like and I think there's also a joy because we're all learning from the ground up. Most resellers don't start with a lot of skill; they start with some skill, and so being able to share, I think this is it, right? Small-mindedness aside, we've already dealt with that. It's the I want to be I become a reseller because I have a skill that I want to turn into money, and then when I finally turn that skill into money, I take the risk to share it with somebody, hoping that they will also then share with me something that I can learn over time. They tell me that the one thing that I know how to do well is something that they have been trying to do but can't figure out, and it elevates this skill. Because I came with only one skill, and sometimes I might feel that one skill that I came to reselling with is not that great a skill, only to realize that hey, it's just as essential as any other skill, and if I teach it, I start to elevate my perception of the skill that I have. Could be photos, could be product knowledge, could be listing, could be sourcing, an eye for sourcing, whatever it might be, right? Customer service. Suddenly I'm like, wait, I have this really good skill. I want to add more skills, and I want to share my skills so that others can also add my skill to their skill set. And before you know it, the culture of the reselling community that you're part of starts to change. It starts to be a pleasant place to be. It feels like one big group project. Yeah. So far, that's been my experience with YouTube as well. Every time I've reached out to YouTubers to ask for help, I've gotten feedback on how I can improve. Granted, some give feedback along the lines of, that aspect of your video is effed. That blunt, like, yeah, it's that bad, huh? Like, yeah, it's that bad. You really should get rid of that. All right, okay, you got it. And some will be a lot more nice and use more words. But the point being is, feedback is given. I've improved, and I've seen that progression. So I've seen improvement in the reselling business. I've seen improvement in the YouTube side of things, and I want you to see improvement. I think that's the message, right? I want you to see improvement in what you do, and a part of that is to embrace the reselling community and those people who within it who are wholesome, because there's great potential for wholesome exchange in this community. Yeah. I will also say the folks at eBay, very wholesome as well. Like, I like the fact that when I went to Queensland, I got to meet the guys at eBay. They really want to talk to people. They really want to talk to sellers and find out how things are going. Australia has established a seller panel to really understand the things that we struggle with, the things that we would like to see changed for the better, and they take a lot of that feedback on board and implement those changes, usually in pretty good time. I don't see anybody from Facebook wanting to hear my thoughts, and I don't see anyone from Amazon wanting to hear my thoughts. You know, there might be a pity survey here and there, but they trust their data more than they trust human opinion. And I think eBay as a company in Australia have been very human, which is why when I'm on social media and I hear people complain about eBay that, you know, it's robot this, robot that, bot this, bot that, there's no, sure, you know, there might not be an appeal process, but it's not because the company is not human. It's because the process is efficient and a bot makes it efficient. Once a human gets involved, decisions that are poorly made or accidentally may get overridden as well, which goes to show the company does have a human element, and they use it quite well. That's been my experience. If you're someone who still has doubts, figure out how to connect with the seller panel. There's on the eBay Sellers Australia Facebook group, eBay Sellers Australia, that's the group. Go there, you'll start to see the panel members' names pop up. Steve McGuinness, Paul Nieuwenhuis, Georgina Bennett, Jason Ramage, Matt Cummins, Jenny Zorich. Who else? I'm missing one. Janelle Froloff. I'm so sorry, Janelle. You should have been first. Janelle. I know I'm missing someone. Nimrod. Actually, no. Gannon's not on there. But yeah, those guys are on there. They're constantly replying with long form replies when sellers have questions, when they don't understand what's going on. Learn from those guys, because they're constantly, those are the humans in conversation with the humans at eBay to really craft eBay to be a platform for sellers by sellers. They mean that. I've seen that change, and I've been very excited to be part of that. So yeah, overall, look, I'm super psyched to be part of this community, and definitely coming from finance, so much better than being in finance. I missed out on a pickup recently. 2 days ago, I missed out on a pickup. I was gonna go pick up in 2 days' time, and then I got a message saying that so it was like a really big tub of toys for $50, and I offered to pay. They didn't want me to pay. They said just bring cash, and then they messaged me the next day going, "Oh, my brother's come by and just taken the toys because he wants them for his kid." And I went, "Why does that sound familiar?" All right, I've done that before. So here's the story. Like, the number of times I've listed something on Facebook, and then someone has come and offered me way more money than I've asked, and then I've replied and I've messaged the person who's supposed to come and say, "Look, family member wanted it. I'm so sorry, it's no longer available." I remember when I started reselling, I'd get really annoyed when I lost out on a lot, because, you know, I'd expect them to honor the lot. I'd expect them to, you know, sell it to me. But the longer the longer I'm reselling, the more I realize that it's very much just business. People don't know what to price something at, and sometimes I will offer more money to secure a lot, and I'll get it, and someone else who was ahead of me doesn't get the item. And sometimes I will miss out because really I should have offered more and I didn't, because I got complacent. So now I don't see it as, now when I buy a lot and I miss out because genuinely a family member takes it, or someone else came and then, but they're not going to tell me they sold to somebody else, right? Because that's just asking for conflict. So I no longer feel hard done by. My first reaction is, damn it, was complacent, should have forced the issue with transferring payments so that it was done. Should have added that barrier of them needing to give me back money if they wanted to sell it to somebody else. Should have gone that same night instead of, you know, waiting for the next day or the day after. It should have offered more money. Like, there are 3 tools that I can use to get this item, and I didn't use any of them. So that's my fault. And that has actually made reselling a lot less frustrating, because it's really frustrating when it's because it will be frustrating if you're expecting factors outside of your control to line up. Like, if the stars must always align for you to secure a lot, you can't rely on it. But if you can, I don't like the word manipulate, but that's it, right? If you can manufacture an outcome, because you're in business at the end of the day, you have to consider that as an option. You cannot be in business to relying on the stars to align, relying on other people to keep their word. Like, that's nice, it's ideal, but at the end of the day, you have to also you have to put things in place to increase your chances. I mentioned it earlier in the video too. Like sending the courier label thing. I mean, I'm thinking about like fishing, right? When you think of people who fish, when someone starts out as a small fisherman, they go out to the pier or take a boat out, and then they come home and they tell their wife, here's what I caught, here's what the ocean gave us today. That's the stars alignment mentality. You're small. But the moment you have to feed a village, you're suddenly thinking of ways, how can I manipulate the placement of the fish? How can I manipulate the placement of my boat so that at this time of the day I'm in this place and I'm able to get the fish to pool around this area so that I increase my chances of throwing a net and grabbing a bunch out. That's all we're talking about here. We're not talking about being dishonest and we're not talking about, you know, scamming people. We're merely saying, can I, paying ahead of time, you're taking that risk. You're essentially saying, if I pay ahead of time and this person's a good person, here's the thing, if you expect someone to keep their word, you're essentially saying, I trust you're a good person and you're going to hold the item for me like you say you would. So if I pay them up front and I still hold that same assumption, all I'm doing is saying I'm accepting the risk that you're still going to be a good person. Except now I've added a layer that you have to pay me money back. Once again, I'm assuming you're a good person. That's always been the assumption. The assumption hasn't changed. That if you then don't want to sell to me anymore, you'll transfer the money back. And that's happened before. But that additional barrier means that they now have to justify why they're giving you the money back. Can I come tonight? And I've done that before. I remember there was a lot of Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars, vintage ones. The guy placed a ridiculous value on the stuff that was in boxes. But the loose stuff, he was just like $100 per box, right? It was like, I think like $6,000 worth of cars. And just wanted $100. I said to Jenny, I'm driving there now. And she's like, why? I said, do you have the address? I said, no, but I know where the suburb is. And I started driving. And it was a 40-minute drive, 20 minutes to the drive, I finally get the address. Like, I'm literally I'm giving myself the best chance to get it, because when I get to that, I know about halfway, if he doesn't reply, I'll probably drive back. But 20 minutes in, like halfway in, I get the address, I keep driving. Because I was preparing myself for, if he says to me, someone else might be coming, look, I say, look, I'm already 15 minutes away. And I'll turn up. I've got the money already. I don't have to stop to get cash out. Because I've been the person who goes, I'll need to get cash out. I'm on my way. I'm this much time away. And I know that if someone tells me they're 15 minutes away, I'm not going to change my mind. If they tell me to get cash out, that's a barrier. So I've told them, I'm this much time away. I've already got the cash out. I'll see you there. And when I turn up, they're like, done, sold. And then they say, oh, I'll just tell the other person not to come. Yeah, cool. I've educated people how to block people on Facebook just so that they can avoid conflict. In that situation, I'm adding value because they're like, crap, I've obviously priced it too low, but I want it gone. I don't want the back and forth with 100 different people. Mate, here's how you get silence, block them. I'm putting things in place so that I can secure what I need for my business. That's it. Some of you guys not going to agree, but for those of us who recognize that in reselling, it's really, this is the hustle, right? This isn't paying a lump sum to buy a Maccas franchise to then secure customers in a particular region. No one's doing any securing for you in reselling. When you sell on eBay, no one's doing, geographical, if you have the shop here, no one else can trade in this area for you. Everybody can go everywhere to buy anything. That's why the hustle is so important. That's why setting yourself up to have a good chance of success is so important. Especially if you're a small reseller and you're starting out, you have no relationship with any supplier. Anybody can sell you anything for you to sell in an eBay store. So give yourself the best chance, that's what I'm saying. Of course, if you sell in categories where the hustle is not needed, good for you. But eventually you will find eventually as you grow that to get the things that you really want to sell, there's an element of hustle in there, and you might as well work on that skill and figure out where your lines are in terms of what you're willing to do and not willing to do to secure a deal. There's this joke of someone, I think, offering to pay for something and then saying, I'll also rock up with a pack of McNuggets. I'm butchering the story, but the point is, best chance, give yourself the chance to secure a deal. Ask yourself, how many cards in my deck do I have to play to get this deal? Paying ahead of time, coming within a very short period of time, already having the cash in hand, bringing a snack, adding value by helping them to block other people so that they don't have to deal with the additional messaging, teaching people how to delete listings. How many things can you do for this person so that it's not just a case of money exchange for item? Should we do some op shopping? Why not? Yeah, so that lot was pretty good. The second lot paid for it and she just left it out because she's working from home. Doesn't have to wait for me. That's another value that that's another bit of value you can give to sellers when you buy and source online. Just tell them, hey, I'll pay for it up front, just leave it out. You don't have to be home, it's okay. I'll let you know when I pick it up. That's it. Most of them will happily take that chance because you're taking all the risk. You are absorbing all the risk to help them to move the item. Who would say no? The only people that say no are the ones that are suspicious of online payments, which I get. I've gotten scammed, via PayPal e-check before. But really, if you're just paying someone via BSB account number, you give them the chance to let the payment clear, and once the payment clears, they leave it out for you. It's fine. Just pay two days ahead of time. That way, there's more than enough time for the payment to clear and for them to leave the item out for you. And not only that, it's also leaving the time for people to actually reply to messages, because sometimes when you pay for something and then you want confirmation that payment's gone through, and then some people don't check Facebook. They maybe check only once a day. So I'm in Lilydale at the moment. Lilydale at the moment, and it's very green. It's big plots of land, nice open spaces. I've always wanted to live in a big block, have a big shed for the business. Just lots of sunshine everywhere. And Jenny reminds me that I don't do well with wild animals of the slimy variety, snakes. got this massive phobia of snakes. So that dream, I guess, goes on hold until I get better at dealing with snakes. But every time I've got a couple of friends who live out this way, and they've got these massive like workshop sheds, and just the space to be able to store things and do things and work on things, it's pretty dope. I would love to have that, but where I'm at, can't have it, not enough space. So to make do with what I got. I see a bunch of thrift stores coming up. Of vintage looking rackets. I've heard that vintage rackets do not bad, so I thought those things don't have many labels on them, so why not figure out if I can identify them. They could be worth something. They're only $1 each anyways. I've never been afraid of shipping big things, so we'll see. Always a chance to learn a new category. Picked up this. Anything Bunnings related tends to do quite well because they release things in waves, and these cars are quite heavy, so it was $1. They tend to go for about 10 second hand anyways. It's an easy flip. But yeah, apart from that, nothing really much in this strip of shops, so we'll go to the next one. I do not want to pick up clothing. I used to do used clothes and then realized that it wasn't a category I enjoyed. I know that there's a lot of opportunity in clothing, but in terms of storage and photographs and measurements and describing them the way clothing should be described, I don't have the headspace to learn about it right now. It just feels a bit too out there compared to what I'm currently doing with toys and collectibles. Baby clothes is a lot easier because baby clothing, there's only so many ways you can describe a one piece. And most of the baby clothes have proprietary names that make them easy to search. Like, you know, hipster dress, ballet suit, things like that. So when looking at adult clothes, maybe later. I do know that it's a good category to get into, and it's one of those categories where there definitely is enough for everybody to make some money. So yeah. Actually, when I first started thrifting clothing, I ended up getting a lot more women's clothing than men's clothing, and I did pretty well with those like work dresses. This was before COVID. You know, like Review, Portman's. What else did I pick up? I picked up a couple of Zimmerman pieces as well, and I didn't really need to know too much about the items. More to buy, it was more of a numbers game for me. So like if I bought, you know, a dress, I knew a dress would retail at about $200 or so, and if I bought it for $5 and I sold it for say 50, or depending on the condition, 40, 50, took really detailed photos, that would be how I would sell it. So I wasn't paying up for them. I was seeing them as I was thrifting for toys essentially, and then realized that I couldn't pick up enough. That was the thing. I couldn't go to enough thrift stores to pick them up, and then I started buying bulk lots of toys and realized that the buy cost for toys when you buy them in bulk is a lot lower. It's a lot easier to process through toys. Like when I buy a big tub of toys, right? And let's say I pay $100 for them, I skim out whatever I can get out of it. Could be $200 to $500 worth of toys, and then there's something left over. I combine that tub with the tub I picked up previously, and I can move it on Marketplace very easily. Like get it out of my house for money. Even if it's $20 is still money. But with clothing, it's very hard to move a bulk load of clothing because you need to sort it into a particular, I suppose, style or color or size, and you end up having to have more, I suppose, more pending tubs that you eventually make a certain size and then find somebody to move it to. I didn't have the relationship to do it at the time. I know like CL Furlong, he's got people that he will move stuff onto that he no longer wants to sell, and like he's got relationship people who go to markets and stuff. I didn't have that at the time. I don't have that now. So for me with toys it was a lot easier, because with toys you could just kind of throw primary school age toys into a tub, and if you price it at $20 for what is 50 pieces, it's generally gone within the day. So for those reasons, never quite got into clothes. But it doesn't mean it's not a good category. I know many people who do clothing and do very well in clothing. I'm surprising myself with how much there is to talk about in today's video. And I think it goes with all things, even with reselling. We do things once, we do things twice, we still feel like, oh, is it going to happen a third time? I still have this feeling that if I do this format again for a third time, then I'm going to struggle to come up with things to say. And in my head, I already know that I'm wrong. But I can't shake the feeling even though I know that I'm wrong. Like my head knows that I'm going to have something to say and it's going to be of use to you guys. And you're going to tell me, keep doing this. But even then, I still have this feeling. Which goes to show, with anything that we do, anything new that we do, anything that we want to be better at, we have to push past the feeling, and that feeling only goes away from reps. It doesn't go away from knowledge. It goes away from practice. Actually, I should know this. As a dad, like my son, who is now 7, and he is able to articulate his thoughts as to why he doesn't want to do something, the reasons why he doesn't want to give something a go. No amount of me telling him that it's going to be okay gets him to do it as much as me just encouraging him so that he softens up to give something a try. And then once he gives something a try, he goes, I can do it. And even if I point out to him that he did really well, like you did really well, you did the thing you were supposed to do, you kicked really hard, you punched really hard, you threw really accurately. My observations, my knowledge I'm trying to impart doesn't hit as well as him going, I did it. Or him coming back going, did you see that? And so likewise, when we think about doing anything new with reselling, taking more photos, taking away words from descriptions, trying out a promotion tool. That one's tricky. Many resellers are afraid to try the promotion tools on eBay. Awesome as the tools are, they are afraid to try because they don't know if it's going to ruin their store. They don't know if they're going to forever be a discount store. If they open the floodgates of promotions, they'll never be able to sell for asking price again. Here's the thing, right? Once you open the floodgates of promotion and you see more sales come in, you'll never want to close it. You would rather have the sales come in and figure out how to buy cheaper than not learn how to buy cheaper and take less sales at a higher dollar value. The art of business is simple. Most of us recognize that there is a wave of stock to come in and a wave of stock to go out, and it's your business determines how much the tap is on one side and the other side, and getting that balance right with processes that are smooth in between is how you make money easily. So when people say, it's pretty easy running a business, what they're really saying is the work is still there, it requires work capacity, but they figured out this balance between I know where to get stock at a price point that allows me to hold it in my capacity of storage and processing and listing and selling and shipping and sales, and it goes out at a particular volume, so it's balanced, in and out. Some people get it down to such an art that they only need a very small storage space because the turnover is so high. Some people still figuring it out, and they seem to always have a massive warehouse of stock because they haven't quite figured out how to sell as fast as they buy. So Confidence comes with the reps. That's the only way that feeling of I don't know if this is gonna work goes away. Reps. Repetition, repetition, repetition. When I got into selling toys, and given that toys are smaller and cheaper and easier to move, I think about 6 months in, I did the numbers and I had sold a few thousand units by then or something. I don't know what it was a big number. It was in the thousands. How many units I had moved, and even though I read out that number out loud to me, I still had doubts as to whether I could keep moving this quantity and more. Like right now, the way I feel about my ability to move inventory is that I can move inventory. I don't have any doubt I can move inventory. But at the time, that feeling of not being able to move inventory, or I'm not sure if I can keep this up, was very real. And when Jenny questioned me, asking, where do I see this going? Is this long term? My parents were asking me, do you see this as being a stable source of income compared to when you were in finance? And the way I responded wasn't as confident as how I'm responding now. Like now, I believe I can move product and I will find ways to move product. Whereas back then, there was feels like I've just had a good month. Is it going to stay good? I'm not sure. I hope it stays good. It's been good so far, right? Repetition is literally the factor that brings you from that point to present day. So for those of you who want to feel more confident and want to be able to hold your head up high when you tell people what you do for a living, because reselling isn't conventional. It's business, but it's not a conventional business, right? Once you get to a point at the start, especially in the start, even business people don't think it's a real business. Only when you start turning over, your 6 figures, you've got lots of money coming in and out of the business, lots of stock going in and out. It's regular. Once it becomes regular, even business people go, yep, it's a business, because there's a method. But until you figure out that method, slowing down doesn't help. Make your mistakes, get as many reps in. Lose money at the transaction level, not at the top level. What I mean by that, like when you make mistakes on listings, be quick to refund. Get over that fear of refunding at the transaction level, so that you're not second guessing yourself when you're sourcing bigger lots. When you're wanting to make changes to the business, because you want to have the courage to trust your decision making process on the little things, so that when it gets to the big things, you at least know that you have a track record of doing things with the right intentions. One of those intentions: buyer first, customer first, learning from your buyer, being willing to take buyer feedback, not being afraid of your buyer, not wanting to duck and cover from your buyer. That's very important. Get your reps in. Get your reps in. 3 more op shops, and then we'll head back and get some photos and listing done. All the parcels are already packed. That's the best part. The urgent thing is done. Makes the rest of the day a lot more straightforward. It makes the day a lot more straightforward. Alright, time to head home and not hit this woman who decided to cross suddenly in front of me. Whenever I go thrifting, I'm reminded about the minimum requirement required to be a reseller, because that's what thrift stores are. Essentially, they are giant resellers with a cost of goods of 0, and because of that cost of goods of 0, they can afford to price things willy-nilly. Of course, they have a mandate to try and maximize profit and move the item at the same time. Sometimes that's in conflict, and you see that in their pricing, where they'll have a cheap pair of shoes next to a pair of shoes that costs $50, $100, which is confusing when you think about the person that goes to a thrift store to buy something for themselves. And it got me thinking about like what an ultimate reseller is versus what a basic reseller is. If you go to a thrift store and you see the things that they take the opportunity to price up, oftentimes it's items that have words on them, that have known brands on them, because that's something that anybody can do. Like, you wouldn't see a pair of Nikes be priced at $5 in good condition. Generally speaking, you see double digits, starting with a 2, maybe a 3. So if you want to be a good reseller, if you want to be someone who can operate away from all the competition to find the gems, you need to be able to know things that other people must learn to know. That's kind of why I like toys, because toys, for the most part, there's a defense mechanism built in. The fact that there's not much wording to it, so if somebody picks up a toy, doesn't know what it is, they tend to leave it behind, they tend to throw it out, they chuck it into a bulk lot with the rest of the other toys. If it's a little bit dirty, they just assume that it's just used and done. But clothing is different. Clothing, you've got tags, you've got color, print, licensed material. And example being, the thrift store I just went to the shoe rack, the nicest pair of shoes on there, a pair of Reebok pumps, $80 for that. And fine, I think it was a size 9, so it's a good size. But the fact that the tag said Reebok Insta Pump Fury Seals shows me that somebody was able to research that pretty quickly. Most people at thrift stores don't bother searching for special editions, they don't bother searching for limited runs, or was it released only here or there. Like when you put that shoe, if there's a special shoe for $80 in the thrift store that actually is one of those special editions, you'll see them on like StockX or eBay with wording like only released here, convention special, things like that. That's next level knowledge. And then there's knowledge just from seeing without actually having to read anything, because you just hang around the stuff so much. So, long story short, if you want to be a formidable reseller, you need to have like that level knowledge. You can't just have basic knowledge like a thrift store, and then go to a thrift shop and complain that the prices are too high and you can't make a buck. Because the buck that you could make with your capabilities, with your knowledge, is the buck that the thrift store will make as well, because they have the same skill level as you do. You only can make, and fine, I know what you're saying, but the thrift store isn't meant to price up. Well, here's the thing, if they happen to not price up, it's because of lack of skill or lack of effort. But the fact is, their skill level there is actually pretty similar to a lot of very basic resellers out there. Like the number of listings I see, 2 photos, 3 photos, bad lighting, titles that don't maximize all 80 characters, poor descriptions, no measurements, no sizing, wrong color. Like calling just bare minimum, where if they go to a thrift store, that's what you expect from a thrift store. If the thrift store happens to put in the effort, they will eat up that little bit of margin that the basic reseller could have had. And then those basic resellers go on social media and they complain, and then they paint this picture of the market like stock's really hard to find. That's not true. Knowledge and experience with repetition is what allows them to defend against competition. So when they find these gems, when people find gems in thrift stores, in garage sales, they are essentially saying, I have skill to make the margin that the person selling does not. Because I have advanced knowledge, I have advanced skill, my eye is trained. That's the difference. So when you see people pricing up, just acknowledge that, hey, they utilized the skill that they had, that I also had. Good on them. Don't expect your unofficial suppliers, the thrift stores, the garage sales, your op shops, your clearance outlets, don't expect any of them to price so that you can make money. If you want to make money, increase your knowledge so that you are entitled to the margin that your knowledge reserves just for you. I think that's empowering. And most of you already know that with a little bit of effort, your eye opens up already with just a little, like you spend an hour trawling through Facebook interest groups, walking the aisles of the thing that you enjoy selling, and immediately your perspective widens. It's not like going to school where you have to learn chapter 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, and then finally when you get to one section E, the whole thing makes sense. No, at 1A it already makes sense, and B and C. And the moment you go hang around, your perspective widens, you take more information in, that you spend more time in your category, a little bit more time, your brain goes, wait, we saw that before. Wait, that was the thing, we should have picked it up. You're constantly logging data. That's what you need to become the kind of reseller that can make money anywhere. And then when you end up going to garage sales, thrift stores and stuff, you're gonna be able to choose what you pick up because you have choice. Knowledge gives you choice. That's something that people don't talk about. They go like bolo chasers to me can be quite frustrating because it's like, oh, if I don't see a bolo, if I don't see something that's of high value, if I don't see a treasure, I'm gonna be disappointed. How about having a knowledge base that goes from high-end items all the way down to bread and butter, and then picking up anything there that you know you can sell because you know how to sell it and you've had experience selling it. Imagine, I know someone else has sold it, but can I sell it? I don't know. But if you had experience selling it, you will pick it up, no hesitation. That's the difference. Experience. That only comes with reps. I like that. Make the money that your skill and experience, make the money, I'm gonna phrase it properly. This needs to be a t-shirt. Make the money, make the margin that your knowledge reserves for you to make. So that other camera angle was clearly not the not the best. We're shaking a fair bit too. So we'll go back to this one. Just went into a thrift store and realized something that you can pretty much, I think you can tell the kind of thrift store you're going into by the things that they feature on their door. You know how like some places they'll put the expensive stuff in the cupboards, or they'll put some expensive stuff on the front display. And I noticed a pair of really pretty but cheap night market shoes. Like think about a fancy, Nike sneaker for girls, and then think about the Chinese knockoff, and that's what I saw on the shelf, along with some other actually valuable things. And it got me thinking, I haven't thrifted in a while, but this was a thought I used to have. When I go to a thrift store, my expectations of the thrift store were more or less met by seeing what they had on display. Because if that's the stuff they valued, I would know that I can find a gem, versus if I go to a thrift store that had the good stuff actually on display, then I'll be like, chances of finding a gem, a lot harder. You guys who go thrifting, what do you think? Of course, you can always find a gem. I know that. You can always find something, but chances, right? We're talking about, do we find 10 good things versus 2 good things? And I feel like if they have valuable items across a range, like, they have like a valuable pair of shoes, valuable jewelry, valuable porcelain, valuable tech already on display or in the cabinets, and sometimes the pricing is wrong, you can still make a margin on them, but to find in the wild of the store, the floor, something of value and in quantity goes down if the valuable stuff is already on display. Just my thoughts. My experience has been consistent that way too. Maybe it depends on the store you're at. For me, I don't actually have many big op shops, thrift stores near where I am. They're all kind of like single shop lot, double shop lot at the most type of thrift stores. So I know some like CL Furlong has got like a Savers near where he is, and I've been to that one like a couple of times when I go see my sister, and yeah, that's like really big. And I think that one when I went to, I picked up like 2 tubs of toys because they just couldn't be bothered sorting through them, and it was like I think $30 for the whole tub. It was like a 50-liter tub, and there were about $200 worth of toys in there, but they just couldn't be bothered sorting through it. So I feel like the bigger it is, maybe for capacity's sake, people can't be bothered, or they just run out of capacity. Compared to the smaller ones, where you tend to get more of the local ladies coming to volunteer, they take their time, the turnover is a lot lower as well. I went to a thrift store. Those three thrift stores I went last week, slightly bigger ones. Today there was new stuff for me to pick out, so I picked out a few more like toy cars and stuff. But with the smaller one, I went back, not really anything. We saw one thing that was worth picking up. So, and I think CL Furlong pointed this out too. I'm saying CL Furlong a lot because he's a friend, we hang out, and this format of video, this driving in the car while talking, reminds me a lot of his sourcing for the video Wednesdays, which you guys should check out because he literally does it for you guys, so appreciate the effort. And his show and tell is, I admire the effort, and I admire the approach. It's very friendly. He keeps his cool and actually articulates what he wants to say and connect with you guys. So he also did mention, like, after a while you go to the same shops over and over again, you don't really get your picking goes down. I think slim pickings is the word he uses. And that's just the nature of what we do. If you don't have a wide if you don't have a wide sourcing route, then really you're bound to run out of stuff if you keep picking at the same things over and over, and same places over and over and over again. At the thrift, I was thinking to myself, I wonder how much effort it will be to go through DVDs, and I went through a few, and then I just decided, nope, don't enjoy it, because the process of being in the store, sifting through them, I think I'm used to buying a bulk lot of things to come home and then sorting them in my time, that to do it on the fly in the shop, or to buy them and then figure it out later, if I were to get into anything new, it would have to be bulk and then work out the bulk. So I give myself a limit. So I know some people talk about not buying pallets because if you're not sure, don't waste your money. But I think it depends on, I think, yes, it's a risky thing and it's a big dollar value, and you might end up buying from someone who already picked through the lot, so the whole exercise could be not worth your time given the time it takes to learn and pick through it. But I can understand how someone who is used, like myself, who is used to buying bulk lots now, granted I know how to buy the good bulk lots, if I want to get into a new category, I probably will end up buying a bulk lot just because the thought of going out into a thrift store, clearance outlet, and picking out items one by one to learn it is just, it's a different rhythm. I think that's it. It's a different rhythm that I'm just not going to be used to. And so just an observation, making the case for the big buy at a set dollar limit. For me, my limit when getting into any sort of new category is $2,000. I give myself $2,000 to spend and to just buy. And then that once I spend $2,000, could be a big lot, small lot, several small lots, that's essentially my learning money. If you're like myself and you've done reselling for a while now, you already know that the issue is not about breaking even. You're not gonna, if you spend $2,000 on something, you're not gonna completely lose your money. You're gonna always break even. The question then is, do I make enough to justify the time spent on it? And how much will I learn from the exercise? Because if I know some resellers, they are hesitant to buy a bulk lot because they're so concerned with the profit they will make. When in reality, if it's the first time you're buying a bulk lot, you must learn. You must be able to structure the exercise so that you learn. It could be comping as you sort. It could be asking yourself questions, the same kind of questions before you engage with the item. What do I expect it to feel like? What do I expect it to look like? How do I expect it to perform? from a toy point of view, right? Like with toy cars, I'm gonna roll every toy car so that my muscle memory knows the feeling of a smooth axle versus a bent axle. It's not as straightforward as you guys think. Sometimes there's a bit of give with the wheels and the axles that they could be a little bit bent, and if I roll it and it rolls, can even roll straight, but from a collector's point of view, it's not smooth enough. So like, I want to learn through my senses. So what is the smell of what's the smell of battery residue, just in case I don't sell an item that has, you know, chemicals on it. What's the smell of rust? What's the, you know, you guys get the idea. Actually, when I was selling dresses, I remember when the dresses had fluffed over, like after a while, we're like, this lot feels dustier than the other lot, or muskier than the other lot. You know, you just want to engage your senses so that you know you're gonna break even already, because you have the skills to sell the items and break even. Profit secondary for that first lot. It's about engaging the senses to learn, to ask questions, to familiarize, to feel comfortable and confident handling the item. I think that's it. Gotta go get a trolley because I didn't have enough bags to put my parcels. I thought I had a spare bag, but I didn't. Let's wedge you here. Well, yep, got my bags. Time to go home. And so thrifting wise, not much to write home about. A couple of toys here and there. Saw some books that comped out pretty alright. So I might just open a new account and pop some books up, see if it's a new category I can get into. Books is another one of those categories that it's just massive. You're not going to find much competition just because it's such a big category. So if I'm going to be going to thrift stores, have I made a decision to go into thrift stores now? If I'm going to be driving, picking up stuff, popping to thrift stores anyways. Yeah, let's pick up books. They were 3 for $1, so yeah, you can't go wrong with that. Like 33 cents a book. And I used to ship comic books, so shipping books with stamps or tracked. Capable of doing both. It is almost 1:30 and I kind of need lunch. After lunch, I got stuck into taking some photos. Photos is a great gap activity for me. It's my way of maximizing the flexibility I have as a reseller working from home. By that I mean, if I'm waiting for Jen to get ready, for the kids to be done, I can go down and take 15 minutes, 20 minutes of photographs. Of course, I have designated photographing sessions that go for about, an hour, 2 hours long. But if I've got any spare time, I go and take photos. You might be wondering why I'm wearing a knitted sweater where you normally see me in a hoodie. Well, it's because tonight I'm going to meet with my 2 favorite guys in the reselling business. And I think you can guess who they are. Meet Jason and Chris, 2 gentlemen I am tremendously blessed to call my friends. How did we meet? eBay All Ears 2022 in Moorabbin. Prior to that, we were merely online connections via Facebook. Since meeting in September 2022, we have had many meals together, hung out on the Gold Coast during Retail Fest, and even recorded a few videos together. That's the power of connecting and aligning with others within this community. eBay All Ears 2022 was about making a shift, to establish eBay as a platform for sellers by sellers. The 3 of us agree with this mission. We get excited about how we can guide our respective communities to embrace eBay as the amazing life-changing tool that it is, or that it can be for you. We aren't teachers who have learned the theory of eBay. No, we are students who have applied eBay to our circumstances and experienced the returns. That's why we love eBay and keep encouraging the reseller community to see things the way we do. Jason is part of the eBay seller panel in Australia. He, along with other panel members, advocate for you directly with eBay. If you want to know who they are, join the eBay Sellers Australia Facebook group. Chris is all about furthering your lifestyle with eBay being a key tool in making that happen. As for me, I'm all about exploring your potential and not being boxed in. You'll find links to their channels and the Sellers Facebook group in the description. Reselling can be lonely if you let it be. Reselling can definitely lack support if you don't surround yourselves with the right people. Who's your community? And who will you reach out to next? Together, our chats never fail to be robust, deep, thought-provoking, and always end up with an action plan. What will we be discussing tonight? How we can better build the reseller community up. That's all of you watching this video. Could we do videos in more effective formats? Could we address topics that haven't really been covered? Would in-person meetups lead to better appreciation and respect within our beloved industry? How can we collaborate together as eBay-loving men to help you elevate your reselling business? So many ideas, so many options, so many tangents. Lastly, how awesome would our reselling culture be if more resellers caught up the way we did, out of mutual respect and a strong drive to succeed? The future has us feeling a special kind of buzz, and I hope you feel excited too. Happy reselling.